All right, Tennessee homeschoolers, you're on deck. Now, I wish I had better news. After all, you enjoy a Republican supermajority, so I should be updating you about the fantastic, progress your legislators are making in enshrining and protecting homeschooling in your state. But that is the exact opposite of what's happening right now. So I'm here to tell you about a nasty bill that's been filed in the Senate and has a companion bill in the House. This is a serious bill, and it's happening right now at the Capitol. It is a truancy bill that doesn't usually apply to homeschoolers, but we're going to get into that. My name is Emily Fort. I'm with the Homeschool Freedom Coalition, and today we're sounding the alarm on SB 1968 in the Senate and its companion bill 1823 in the House. These bills were filed by Republican Senator Adam Lowe in District 1 and Republican Representative Kevin Raper in District 24, House District 24. I think Representative Raper's district, if I remember right, it's in the Cleveland and Bradley County areas, and Senator Lowe's district, Senate District 1, is in the Bradley, McMinn, Ray County. I think that's where, if you're a voter in those areas, this should matter, and you should definitely tune in for this. I want to break down really quickly what these nasty bills are going to do, plain and simple. If your child has been reported as truant by your school district, the bill says you may not be allowed to start homeschooling. So that's right. Instead of protecting parental rights, our Republican legislators are attacking them via a truancy bill. And you might be thinking, like I said, well, I already homeschool, so truancy bills don't really affect me. But these bills absolutely will affect parents, and they absolutely affect the future of homeschooling in Tennessee. Because the short version here is this. In Tennessee, every school district gets to create its own truancy policy, its own truancy guidelines. That means in some districts, a child can be labeled as truant after just 3 days, just 3 unexcused absences, 3 days. And once that arbitrary label of truant is applied to a student, SB 1968 and HB 1823 would hand the power to a judge to decide whether you're allowed to withdraw your child and start homeschooling. So a judge who has never seen your child or met your child will get to arbitrarily decide that you're not allowed to pull your child out of government school. Now, if you're a gun owner, which it's Tennessee, you might be, you probably already recognize this tactic. This is basically red flags for homeschooling. We're not going to let you homeschool, even though you've not been charged with a crime. There's been no court. There's been no accusation even. There's just, you missed a couple of days of school. So we're going to preemptively take away your right to homeschool just in case you might do something later that we don't approve of. So a school district creates its own definition of truancy. They report you, and now a judge tells you that you no longer get to make educational decisions for your child. So now this is all kind of legislative, kind of wordy, but let's think about how this will actually play out in reality. Tens of thousands of children get assaulted, bullied, and beaten every month, every week in government schools in America. So imagine your child is one of those kids who is being bullied, beaten, whatever. There's a million reasons. Could just be as simple as illness, but let's just assume, if we went down the trail of what this could look like for thousands of families, many parents pull their kids out of school for a short time to figure out what to do next. He's getting bullied. He's getting beaten. He's getting, the teacher is bullying him. The school won't do anything about it. The kid who, punched him in the face and broke his tooth, he's sitting 2 seats away again, and they won't even reprimand that kid. All these stories, we hear them every day. So this isn't like some worst case hypothetical, narrow possibility. This is a significant portion of people who come into homeschooling are escaping something like that. So many parents pull their kids out for a little while to figure out, what are we going to do? We're going to, talk it over. We're going to talk to the student. We're going to talk to mom and dad. We're going to just talk it over. How are we going to handle childcare? How are we going to handle this and that? It's in that period that you would be labeled as truant. If you took a week, 3 days even in some of these districts, you get labeled as truant. And they're like, why is your kid not here? Give us a doctor's note. Well, he's not sick. We're just sick and tired of this garbage. It's like, this is going to happen to lots of families. And under this bill, if the school slaps a truancy label on your child during that window, your right to homeschool could be gone, just completely gone. And now this is the part that should make every parent in Tennessee furious, whether or not they homeschool or ever plan to. The judges in Tennessee's, family court system belong to an organization called the Tennessee Council of Juvenile and Family Court Judges. Okay, Last year, their legislative committee published a position paper about homeschooling. They were, at the time, they were coming against a good bill. And so they published this position paper on homeschooling, and they were responding to this good bill, and they said, and I quote, "This bill, now quote, could potentially create a loophole for some rather unscrupulous parents to abuse Tennessee's educational system. And our greatest fear is unscrupulous parents, when threatened with the notions of mandatory referrals for abuse, would remove a child from school and place them under the umbrella of this bill so as to avoid detection." Did you hear that? These judges, the official legislative committee position of the family court judges, are that many people will homeschool their kids so they can get away with abusing them. They want to remove a child from school and be, not followed and tracked and tested and traced by the government because they want to abuse them, essentially. They would remove a child from school for that reason. This is how the judges that would be the ones arbitrating whether or not you're allowed to start homeschooling once your child has been labeled truant, this is what they think about homeschoolers. This is what they think about you and your family. So here, there's just see the net that's being created here. Every little loop of this net is a nightmare. And then all together, we have a school district arbitrarily using its own arbitrary definition of truancy. Your child gets labeled. A judge from the same organization whose legislative committee wrote that position paper gets to decide whether or not you're allowed to homeschool. This isn't freedom. This isn't parental rights. This isn't stuff we should be seeing in a state with a red supermajority, frankly. This is the government making you basically ask permission to raise your own children. And while we're here and you're listening, thank you very much. But there's something that makes this even worse is it kind of you're trying to get your mind around it. Why is this happening? Why would any of our legislators be doing this? Last year, Republican William Slater, the same Republican who filed this year's HB 1729, another nasty bill that just further expands government involvement and testing and tracking of homeschoolers, he read that statement from that legislative committee of those judges. He read that quote I just read to you. He read it aloud as his justification for killing that great homeschool legislation last year that I mentioned earlier, the FREE Act, which was one of the strongest pro-homeschooling bills Tennessee had ever seen. That was one of the strongest bills in the country, okay? So just last year, we have sellout Republicans doing the Democrats' dirty work, quoting these insane liberal judges who are treating homeschool families like suspected criminals. And now those folks are gonna work together to block parents from starting homeschooling at the exact moment their child may have been harmed at school and they're taking a few days to consider homeschooling. For Tennessee families, this should absolutely be a line in the sand. Right now, we have to get involved. We have to a lot of times it's some other organization is going to handle this, or some other group will tell the legislature, or someone else knows they're going to fix that in amending it, some other way to, 6 months down the road. Well, we're not banking on that, and we're not waiting on that either. Right now, click the link below, take action, sign the petition to kill SB 1968 and its companion bill, HB 1823. We need to get loud because these legislators, they're all Republicans, okay? And they're working with, through this truancy bill, they're working with this group of judges, this whole cadre. All these judges think this. This is their official legislative committee's position, okay? They're all working together to throttle the pipeline of kids coming into homeschooling. They're trying to turn off the faucet of kids leaving government education any way that they can. And the number one way is when your kid has experienced something horrific and you're thinking about homeschooling and you've taken 3 or 4 days or 5 days off of school to think about it, these totally arbitrary school districts get to set their own limits. So think about this. I mean, in theory, it is very possible that the school districts figure this out. Many of them are hemorrhaging kids right now because of the poor job that they're doing. And they go, you know what? Let's just meet and change our truancy policy to be 2 days. And all of a sudden, every kid that's gone for 2 days, we can label them as truant. And we've got this great group of judges that think that homeschoolers are just trying to abuse their kids. So we can basically stop anyone from leaving our school district for the whole school year. And we'll keep all of our state and federal funding. How perfect. And the parents are completely powerless in this situation. This is a nightmare. Right now, click the button below, sign the petition, get loud with us. And then very shortly, we will send you we'll send you some emails about how to fight more effectively on this bill. You'll be able to email directly to your legislator. We're going to try to get this bill at every phase of the committee process. We're going to get this bill killed. It has to happen. We have to rise up individually. We cannot wait for other organizations or any organization. You can't wait for me. You can't wait for the Homeschool Freedom Coalition. You have to get involved. This is your chance. We need you right now. Sign the petition. Get in this fight. Help us spread the word. Share this video. They do this stuff. Well, technically, this isn't a homeschooling bill. So how many homeschoolers are even going to hear about it? Right? Share this video. Sign the petition. Share the video. Drop it in your homeschool groups. I'm in probably 20 homeschool Facebook groups for my local area, the buy-sell trade groups. Put it wherever you think homeschoolers would care. Get involved. We'll keep you updated. In the meantime, Tennessee, stay free and stay the course.